This month, it's all about letting go. And isn't it funny? Sometimes life's little frustrations can be the toughest to shake. Like you plan a great big picnic, and then the weather goes bad.
Always the
Or you
weather.
get stuck in a traffic jam, and you're already running late.
Studio 5 relationship coach Matt Townsend is here to teach us a great coping skill to let those things go and just be happier. So here's the thing. You're the expert.
Yes. I just had a wedding. I learned to let it all
He
go.
got this. Well, I know the answer to this first question.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm supposed to ask you, why do we try to control things that we just can't control? I am
What's
not
your
the
answer?
expert, but I would like to answer. We're control freaks.
Yes, why?
Because we like to shape it the way we want it to go.
Who's we?
Well, I could speak for women at large.
But it is we. It's we in our minds. Your minds want to pretend like they have control.
Yeah.
But in reality, they don't. But it doesn't let you know that, or you would freak out. So your mind, what it does is it keeps acting like it has some power over life, when in reality, life just kind of happens, right? So if you could just train your mind to not kind of go there all the time and obsess about all the things you can't control and try to get control over them, you have an easier life.
It truly is the definition of letting it go, right? Because these are things that we really can't control at the end of the day.
You can pretend, but it doesn't work that way. So if there's been a natural disaster, you may notice if there's a disaster in another country, you start thinking about your own planning. Am I right? I mean, you can start to worry and obsess with it. The reality is you can't control any of that except a few things that you can control. So we're going to teach you how to work on those things you can control. 3 things, okay? 3 areas. This is so core, okay? Because honestly, nobody likes to hear this because it almost sounds like something a man would say. Well, I am a man. So here's the first thing. We should focus on our acting, not our analyzing.
Okay.
We should focus on action,
Elaborate, you man.
not analysis. So what kills us and paralyzes us is all this analysis. What makes us so obsessed and freaking out and worried and concerned is when you start analyzing everything that could possibly go wrong with a wedding planning, for example.
You've just eliminated the female conversation.
That's exactly. See, the thing is that they're worried about it. They're worried about it, but there's nothing going on there except worry because you're not acting on it. So instead, we should be focusing on what we can actually act on, and by making a list. So here's all I would do. If
There's some things we can't act at all, right?
You can't act at all. It's just like, what if it rains? Well, what if it rains? It does rain.
We heard this in the wedding planning.
It did rain that day. It rained during all of our pictures.
You went through the scenarios.
And all we could do is grab an umbrella and go. But what you could focus on is what acts would we take if it rained? Well, we would go here and do plan B. Let's make sure we take some umbrellas just in case so we don't get soaked, which we didn't do. Let's do this. So you could focus on action. And what's amazing is the minute you focus on what you can do, you actually feel more peace because you have a fallback to do. You have something to do. When you don't have anything to do but you only have concerns, you're messed up.
See, you have just described, though, the he said, she said dilemma, right? Women like to talk it out.
Yeah.
We like to elaborate and play the what-if game. And my husband has said to me already multiple times in our short marriage, like, we
Shut
can't do
your
anything
cake
about
hole.
it. Well, he hasn't said that.
Okay, well,
but
have
so
him call
why do
me.
women struggle? Why do women struggle with this so much?
Well, I think because your minds just are constantly working.
They're going.
They're going. So I don't even care if you worry about it. If you worry about it, go for it. Go worry about
Just
it.
don't tell you about it?
Well, just shut your cake. No, but go do something about it. So you can talk all day about what would happen if it rained. And that actually is bonding. That's why you would talk about it. But if you want to actually then eliminate the fear of it, then go do whatever you can do. Like, if you're really afraid of rain at your wedding, don't have an outdoor wedding. But if you want like the best of both worlds, plan an outdoor wedding and a really good contingency
And
plan.
on a more serious scale, I mean, we often talk about when we hear disasters that happen, say most recently in Boston, therapists will tell us, like, do something good, do some service,
That's
do something
exactly
that you
right.
can control to put some positive thoughts out there.
At some point, you've got to move somewhere else. So one of the next rules is focus on serving, not storytelling. What tends to happen to us is once you're kind of trapped and you want to like make these thoughts okay to keep having, we start building a story about them that keeps us stuck in the story. We start building stories like we're a victim, we can never do this, I'm not a planner, I'm not a wedding planner, I never should be planning a wedding, we've never even had a wedding before, and then you kind of just keep reinforcing how weak you are and how weak you are. But instead of like focusing on your story, and again, the ways you know you're in a story is if you never have all the data, but you tend to make it up. So if you know people that are constantly, they don't even have the whole story.
Someone just came to mind. Isn't
Did
that
you
funny?
think of somebody?
Yeah, I did.
And they just start making up data as if they know.
Yeah.
They don't care if they're accurate. They just care that they have the story. The story, they think, makes them feel better and safer than actually having a plan. But there's another thing you could do instead of telling your own story and getting into that is let's just start worrying about serving everyone else. If you get out of your story, the victim or that other people are always out to get you, most people, honestly, are so selfish they don't care enough about you to chase you to hurt you. Most just are trying to move on with their life. But if we have a story that everyone's out to get us, that story is going to be in everywhere you go, and it's going to be perpetuated in everything you do. Get out of yourself, and one of the fastest ways to kind of let something go is lose the story and go serve someone in the issue. So when it started raining, I started serving and getting umbrellas for people and getting out and doing something and giving umbrellas to get people to.
So you were actually doing something, and you actually had control over that whole aspect.
Well, then that turns you back to your higher self. So instead of me telling a story, I'm a weak puke, excuse me for saying that, I could tell the story that I'm at least serving. I'm just trying to serve. I'm doing the best I can. Right?
I love your last one. You say we should focus on creating peace instead of pain.
Here's the rule. Whatever you focus on grows. That is the rule. If you keep focusing on something you can't control, your inability to control things shrinks.
So what's the piece that we're focusing on here?
What the piece you focus on is the piece that comes from doing all you can do, or the piece from at least doing what you should be doing and doing what's right. So the piece is a simple question. You've heard me ask it on the show a million times. What is the most important thing I should be doing right now? So when you're obsessed and caught up in this thought of I'm losing it, I can't do it all, just ask yourself, what's the most important thing I could do right now to go for peace here instead of creating more pain? And your brain will now start using that same energy that it does to protect you and to create all these alternatives. It'll start looking for things to create peace. And it might simply be, I'm just going to be quiet now. Or it might simply mean I'm going to go exercise and work out, or I'm going to go get ready and get a better suit for the wedding. It's going to give you something to do that will produce peace. Peace is in everything we do if we bring it. We always expect to find it when we get there, and the reality is it's not there unless you bring it with you. It's like bringing your own sunshine. You got to bring your own sunshine.
You got a great little deal going on because we're in a new month. You got a new little download.
This is all about perfection. Now, apparently there are people out there that want to be perfect.
Apparently.
And they think that it's even possible. So we have a download, a $4 CD you can, or MP3 you download called Finding the Real You, Blowing Up the Myth of Perfection. It's one of my favorite things we've ever done. So if you know anyone in your life that's, after perfection and it's driving them crazy and they can't let go their imperfection, go to MattTownsend.com, pay $4. It's an MP3 download. Change your life.
You are a father-in-law now.
I'm a father-in-law.
A father-in-law.
Wow.
Ow! Congrats.
You're an old guy.
Father of the bride.
Don't call me old, but yes.
Big deal.
Thanks you guys.
Coming up next, Melanie Douglas is going to reveal her go-to workout playlist when we come back.